Backstage at Raw, the atmosphere is electric and tense, thick with the kind of silence that speaks louder than words. The dimly lit corridors stretch endlessly, filled with shadows that seem to whisper secrets of betrayal and doubt. The air itself feels charged, carrying the unease of men and women who know that power in WWE doesn't just shift under the spotlight, it starts to crack behind closed doors. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso stand together off-camera, their eyes heavy, their expressions tight. They've felt it, the tremor shaking Seth Rollins' empire. Across the hall, Seth paces like a storm waiting to break. Becky Lynch watches him, worry etched across her face. Paul Heyman, always unreadable, stands close by, bracing himself as Rollins growls the question that makes even the strongest man's confidence falter. What if I lose to Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel? That single question sends ripples through the locker room. The foundation of the vision begins to crack. And that's where tonight's WWE Rundown takes us. Behind the curtain, inside the tension, where unspoken threats and fragile alliances could decide not just a match, but the fate of champions. Because in wrestling, the real battles aren't always fought in the ring. They're fought in the silence between words, in the looks exchanged backstage, and in the moments when even the mightiest start to doubt themselves. Welcome to WWE Rundown, the home for wrestling psychology, where every expression, every hesitation, every flicker of emotion tells a story bigger than any match card. If you live for that blend of drama and detail, make sure to subscribe, tap the bell, and stay locked in, because tonight's episode dives deep into the unraveling of Seth Rollins' Vision faction. Crown Jewel 2025 is almost here. Seth Rollins, the World Heavyweight Champion, stands on one side of destiny. Cody Rhodes, the undisputed champion, stands on the other. The stakes aren't just about gold plates and belts. They're about power, respect, and control over the future of WWE. But as Rollins questions himself, as he lets the words, "What if I lose?" hang in the air, he risks more than defeat. He risks exposing weakness. And weakness, in WWE, draws blood. Recent reports confirm that Paul Heyman warned Rollins that a loss at Crown Jewel wouldn't just cost him the match, it could cost him the locker room's faith. That's not just advice, that's a prophecy. Because when confidence cracks, loyalty follows. Let's look closer at what's really happening inside the vision. On the surface, Rollins is the mastermind, the architect of a faction built on ideology and influence. Paul Heyman, the strategist, his voice of reason and manipulation. Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Becky Lynch, all enforcers and pillars of power within this grand design. But behind the promos and camera smiles, there's tension. Becky's been frustrated, her transparency dismissed, her role reduced to optics. Rollins' obsession with control over recognition is starting to wear on his allies. And Heyman, the great manipulator, senses the storm long before it hits. He knows that if Rollins falls, the empire falls with him. That's why his warning wasn't idle, it was a test. So as Seth paces and demands answers, his voice sharp and raw, Heyman's expression flickers, half sympathy, half calculation. When Rollins snarls, "If I lose to Cody, what happens then?" Heyman hesitates, then calmly fires back. "You lose the locker room." That line lands like a body blow. The power dynamic shifts. Rollins, visibly shaken, looks for reassurance. But none comes.